Moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. It's now 7:18 a.m. and we start off our conversations this morning with guests in studio. We're speaking with Assemblyman Sonny. He's the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. We also speak with Claire Patterson. She's a hospital administrator and also the treasurer of the ACP Community Services. We also speak with Dr. Stephen Wells. He is a foot and ankle surgeon and a diabetic specialist. In fact, he goes by the name Foot Whisperer, just in case. That's just one little humor there. So welcome, guys, to our program this morning. Today we're speaking about the 11th medical mission trip to Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to get the conversation started. First and foremost, we want to know, what is the medical mission and outreach trip? What is this mission about, the ACP? What is it about?
So thank you for having us, and good morning, Tobago. This is the first effort of its kind where APC, Action Performance Commitment, has teamed up with Trinidad Progressive Association to do a medical mission. And we will be in the Twin Islands, Trinidad and Tobago. But because we have these passionate Tobagonians on our team, we're starting here.
Awesome.
So you're going to be the flagship of this effort. And huge thanks to the Honorable Assembly Member Sonny Craig, who has just been tremendous in bringing this together. And of course, we have our Tobagonians, Ms. Angela Cooper. Big thanks to Angela, who's a member of the team, and also our lead, Mr. Stephen Isaac, who I'm told is going to be on later, as well as Sylvan Henry. So it's a big Tobago thing, right?
Right.
And
the accents.
I'm Guyanese.
So,
So we're just humble servants here to serve the community, provide education. The leaders of our group are Dr. Daniel Beckles. He's out of Texas and a cardiothoracic surgeon, and Dr. Janice Emmanuel McLean, just a cool sister who is a doctor of naturopathic medicine.
Right, so you mentioned so many different categories of medical treatments, right? We started off by saying you're a foot whisperer, diabetic specialist, and now we're talking about different categories of medical practitioners.
Yes.
So what are some of the services that people will be exposed to, even if it's just about the public education about it? What kind of services are we talking about?
Sure. So the services are, we're here to teach and pass the knowledge along. And we're also here to screen. So some of the services that are going to be provided starting tomorrow in Bon Accord, we will have diabetes, hypertension. Of course, Dr. Wells will do his assessments for diabetic foot exams. We'll do body mass index, a lot of health and wellness coaching. We've got a holistic health coach who's coming, and everybody takes some bush medicine, and so we'll try to bring it together and keep it real, because we leave and life goes on, and so that's a huge part of what are the services that we'll offer. And the week culminates on Saturday. We have a health expo and conference at Goodwood. I'll get it right by Saturday. Yeah, and we're just so excited that other members, dentists and a pediatrician, will be joining us as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And as you mentioned on Saturday, I must mention that the program is for the entire week.
Yes.
Starting from, this evening, but primarily tomorrow. So you're having events from Bon Accord, Fairfield Complex, Roxborough.
Yep.
So you span the breadth of Tobago in terms of doing the public education and the teaching and the exposing persons to the different types of services that are being, that are going to be taught throughout this session. Mr. Craig, what I want to find out is in terms of the partnership, what was the advent or the genesis of the partnership, or the importance of bringing this team to Tobago for the Tobago people?
Well, I work in the Division of Health, and no question as to the quality of service that you could get in Tobago. But in the field of medicine, we can limit ourselves basically to just the basic understandings we might have here on the island. And to have this wealth of knowledge and experience available, and to have the willingness to serve and the willingness to partner, I thought it prudent that they should come here. Of course, the leader of the group, as I know her, is Miss Cooper, Miss Angela Cooper. And just to put things in perspective, those of us who travel to the States every year for Tobago Day celebrations, that's the live wire behind it. Live wire behind Tobago Day. So she is that passionate about Tobago. And in conversation, we decided we must do this together. And here we are. So there's no limit on persons learning about their health and managing themselves. I always say leadership begins with self.
That's right.
And you cannot do the job you ought to do with a broken body. And so we need to do what we have to do to get ourselves in pink form of health. I mean, even when you find a critical concern in your own being, you seek a second and a third opinion. So it doesn't hurt to have all the information, and when you're well informed, you make your decision. So here we are.
Awesome. So how do persons access or participate in the rollout of events that you have for the week across the island of Tobago?
You just come by. I mean, once you see the ad resonates with you, basically where you're living, proximity, it's much easier for you. The one at Bonacor tomorrow is going to be catering for persons on that side of the island, basically. So we have villages from Buku, Monturving, Bethel, all those areas. The ads are out there. It's been advertised on the rooftop of one of the ad cars out there going around yesterday and today. So once it fits into the proximity or where you are based, you are welcome to come by, and the big word is free.
That's right. Of course, very important, very key to note. And so it's open to the general public, and the clinics are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in every area that you attend.
Ours will be 8 to 4 tomorrow.
8 to 4, okay.
Yes.
Let me just run through quickly for our viewers. So they're at Bonaccord Community Center tomorrow from 8 to 4.
Yes.
And then Fairfield Complex on Wednesday from 9 to 5. And then Thursday they go to Roxborough Health Center. And it seems also Friday, Roxborough Health Center as well. So they'll be spending 2 days there and then culminate in Goodwood Secondary School. So you are all welcome to go out to the events and just to get the education, to get the knowledge. As Claire said, there might be some screenings. So you might get some information about your personal that you were unaware of. And I'm seeing things like podiatry and different types of medical services as well. So it will be quite interesting to know, sometimes we want a specific type of service and we can't find it, and especially podiatry. I know for certain, I've heard quite a few people ask about that. So that would be interested for persons to go out and attend. So Dr. Wells, tell us about, I see you have a nice display here. So tell us about this display.
Well, we have some gifts for the Tobago community. We are donating 40 pairs of diabetic sneakers and shoes with inserts, and we want to make sure that patients or people who have diabetes have the proper foot care. I'm not sure if you're aware, but every 30 seconds in the world, a limb is amputated. So amputations are a very big part of diabetes, and unfortunately a lot of people are not aware of why their foot is going to be amputated. They're not aware of the signs. So I'll be doing some screenings, and I'm what they call a limb protection specialist, right? So I'm very aware of the fact that in places in the Caribbean, no one is protecting the limb. What I say by that is that there should be a surveillance and awareness, both with patients and doctors, but in many cases there's not. So I'm someone to sound the alarm and to do the screening and to actually preserve the lives of, in this case, Tobagonians. By the way, just so I want to say a shout out to my medical assistant for many years who was from Tobago. I've eaten some of the best food from Tobago all my life. And when I first came to Tobago, and this is my second trip, I was amazed that I had the privilege of learning about Tobago before I came to Tobago. So I have a debt to pay to Tobago. So I'm coming to make sure every person in Tobago has diabetes, their foot is good, and they won't lose their limb if I can help. And if you lost your limb, we are working to have a prosthetic specialist to make sure we replace the limb, so that we can restore the dignity and the power of what Tobago is to the world. That's my goal.
Right, and you know, you're talking about limb protection. Sometimes these are some terms that might be unfamiliar to people in this part of the world. How do you, without, I mean, going too much into details, but just like the general basics, how do you protect your limb? Or what are some of the things you will do to preserve your limb before it goes into that state of needing to be protected?
Well, one of the biggest issues is circulation, right? So as you know, when you're a diabetic, your circulation is compromised pretty soon after you are diagnosed. And in many cases, people have been may have had diabetes many years before they're diagnosed. So the circulation is one area. The other area is a loss of nerve function, right? So these two areas together, when they come together, can compromise the function of the limb. And if you're a smoker on top of that, you now have increased your chances of losing your limb by an astronomical number. And then if you add to that the fact that you're inactive, right, and you have high cholesterol and you have hypertension, which are very common diagnoses with diabetics, you are now in a zone, I call a zone of no protection, right? So these things have to be assessed. They have to be, patients have to be educated, and ultimately people have to be aware that they can have their limb preserved, because there's no reason for a person to lose their limb when you have a situation like diabetes. It's prevented. It can be prevented, I should say. So my job is to really sound the alarm, do the surveillance, do the screening, and hopefully to teach other doctors. You know, I'm so glad for this gentleman here, because we want to not only come and try to be a hero, but we want to train others to be heroes, so that now we preserve the life. By the way, it's not only limb protection, it's life protection. Because when people lose their limbs, it accelerates their death. So we are trying to let people in Tobago live longer, live healthier, and just have a very productive life. That's what God desires for us, to be fruitful and multiply. That's part of it. Huh?
That's right. And based on what you're saying as well, it's also behavioral changes.
It is.
Because if you know that you are diabetic, there are some things that you should do and some things you shouldn't do. And you spoke earlier about the foods.
Yes.
And Tobago food is something that we have to try to look at when we're, you know, in that position where we are diabetic. We have to be able to consume foods that are healthy for our body. Isn't that right?
Right.
And
But there's one other thing too. Diabetes is, it has two phases. Most people are only familiar with one. We talk about type 1 and type 2 diabetes, but there's a whole section to diabetes people have no awareness of. For instance, are you aware that diabetes affects the bone? In very dramatic ways, and most people are not familiar with this, and they need to understand that you can have arthritic conditions associated with diabetes, along with the fact that you have over 50 subtypes of diabetes. So it's not just type 1 and 2. So most of the time it's education, information, and empowerment. I think that's what we're after, so that no one has to train you about diabetes. You can train yourself. That's right.
So it's important for you know, communities around to be able to come out to the meetings that are being held. Look for the one that's closest to where you are. It is free of charge, and most days they are 9 to 5, except for tomorrow, where it's 8 to 4 at the Bonaccord Community Center. So go out, get the information. The specialists and the professionals will be there. You can ask the questions. Opportunities for screening is also available, so you can go out there and get it done. Remember, it's free of charge, and it's a collaborative effort as well. Mr. Craig, in closing, is there anything else you want to share with our public?
Well, I think you did it beautifully in your last entry. We really want you to come out. You can't lose by gaining this knowledge and getting this experience. You must admit that medical practitioners who work in the bigger countries would have that wider scope, and whatever they bring to the table could be appreciated. So I want to thank them for coming by and for doing the partnership. Tobago Updates, as always, we thank you for facilitating us, and we hope and pray that everything works out beautifully for the next week or so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. We've been speaking with Assemblyman Sonny Craig, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, Claire Patterson, Hospital Administrator and Treasurer of ACP Community Services, and also Dr. Stephen Wells, Foot and Ankle Surgeon and a diabetic specialist. Just look out for the ads and, as I said, participate in the events that are closest to you. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations this morning in studio with our guest. And before we go, of course, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.